Look, I certainly don't think this is the end of the world, but as a conservative, I
Yes.
wish there were more cuts. I wish there was more spending cuts to
Mm.
go with the tax cuts. I didn't agree with John McCain a whole lot, but when he said you can't cut taxes and not cut spending, he was 100% right. If you're
Yeah.
going to cut taxes, you have to cut spending. And there seems to be some, how you say, slowness to cutting the spending.
So a couple of things about that, and you're right. On the one hand, cutting taxes, cutting the more pro-growth taxes, for example, simplifying the tax code, providing lower rates, providing lower rates for business, some pass-through deductions, all of those things, expensing of equipment and bonus depreciation and research and development, all of that adds to revenue, even though it's not scored as an addition to revenue because it grows the economy. That's good. On the other hand, there are some taxes that I like. I mean, I like no tax on tips. I like no tax on overtime pay. My dad was a rural electric lineman. We lived off of time and a half. Those were the big weeks, and so I get all of that. But that does reduce revenue. So having said that, you're right. The House didn't cut a whole lot, and we can do more, and I think we will in the Senate. I think we have to find more areas, and we know there are some. The challenge is because we're using budget reconciliation, we're confined to only mandatory spending, not discretionary spending, and we are within mandatory spending, we're confined by the fact that we're not allowed to touch Social Security. There's not a lot of political will to touch Medicare, although I do think that there's plenty of waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare that would have no negative impact on the people that rely on Medicare services or Medicare reimbursement, and could be a lot of benefit to the balance of the budget. I think we can find more into Medicaid as well. So I think we shouldn't give up as senators. I mean, the founders created the United States Senate so that we could have the 6-year terms to do the bigger things. That's the whole point. One of the major points of creating the Senate. I think we need to do that because it really doesn't matter much to me if you're going to wring your hands over, doing the right thing because it doesn't look good somewhere in some population. Go out and explain yourself. That's what I say. And furthermore, if you're going to get thrown out by your own party because you're not willing to make the cuts that are necessary when you're given this opportunity, well, it's if you're going to get thrown out by anybody, I guess better to get thrown out by your own party than the other party. But all of that said, I think you're right. I think we can do better on the spending side, but I don't want to diminish the value of pro-growth tax policy you'll never get credit for until the end of the time, like we did in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, when you say, they missed that one by over $1.5 trillion. So I think we're going to be just fine.
We're going to be getting into the rescission as a topic in the next segment, but
Yeah.
I do want to ask you about it. I mean, this is something I, that is just, to me, exciting. I mean, we really
Yeah.
haven't seen a lot of this action. President Trump is saying, let's claw back. Let's start with 9.4 billion. Let's get into some of this
Yep.
waste in foreign aid. And, if the Constitution creates a free and independent press, I don't know why we would be funding a press that's not free or independent. But this is a good start. This would show that Republicans are in fact serious about getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, clawing back the previous budget.
No question about it. And to your point about the press, I mean, do we really need public broadcasting? Do we really need NPR? To your point, they're not independent. They're very left leaning. I mean, hard left leaning. And furthermore, there's lots of competition out there for them, to include you, right? And nobody's subsidizing you. So I just think the time is long past when we need to have federally funded, federally subsidized broadcasting. In fact, that spectrum could be used for better commercial use, quite honestly. With regard to foreign aid, there's no question there's a lot of foreign aid that is not only unnecessary, but completely wasteful. Now, there's some foreign aid that has a purpose, geopolitical, even national security purposes, but we need to scrutinize that much, much better so that we're getting real value for it. And I'm like you. I'm excited about the opportunity to take on a rescissions package. It's been hard to get them to actually send us a rescissions package. Now they have. This House, I think, takes it up first. I can't imagine that they won't support that rescissions package. And so that people know, what that means is literally clawing back, to use your terms, clawing back appropriations that have already been appropriated but not spent. And this is a good start.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.